All right, this tutorial is all about words and how words are used in the article Halloween, the Hidden History. And we're going to think about words in three different ways. We're going to think about words in terms of figurative and literal language. It's called sort words. That's section A. And in section B, we're going to think about words and what they are defined, what their definition is, and how we can use those words in original sentences to show we understand their dictionary meaning. And then in part C, we're going to think about words in terms of what we call connotation, which is the feeling that words have associated with them, either positive, neutral, or negative. So you should have your copy of this assignment pulled up in another tab. You can split screen it with this Edpuzzle, and we're going to start the first section together right now. So figurative language, you know this as similes and metaphors, hyperbole, which is an exaggeration, personification, which is giving human traits to objects or animals. Those types of figurative language you practiced with the booklet that I gave you on Monday. So we're going to think about that in terms of figurative language today with some of the words from the article. I'm not going to ask you to identify the type of figurative language. I just want you to tell me whether it is figurative language or not. And if it's not, we call it literal language. So we're going to use the 6 phrases or sentences in section A, and we're going to place them in the proper box. And I'm going to do the first 2 with you, and then I'm going to ask you to do 3 through 6 on your own. So, excuse me. Number 1, children cackle like tickled hens. Is that figurative or is that literal? The children are not hens. They're not literally hens. It's a figure of speech. In fact, this is actually a simile. It's comparing the way the children laugh to the sound that hens or chickens make. So what I want you to do is to type that number 1, children cackle like tickled hens in the proper box. And I'm going to stretch my text box just a little bit so I can save some space for the rest of the answers. So that is a simile, and that is figurative language. We don't take that literally. They're not literally hens. Number 2, Halloween has a story that began about 2,000 years ago. I don't notice any figurative language there. I don't see a simile. I don't see a metaphor. It's not an exaggeration. It's a fact. And when it's a fact, it's literal language. So we're going to put number 2, Halloween has a story that began about 2,000 years ago. Okay? So I want you to continue with 3, 4, 5, and 6. If it's a fact, if there's no figurative language in it, that goes under the literal language box, just like we did with number 2. But if you notice figurative language, like onomatopoeia, where you have sound words like moo and buzz, like a bee would buzz, that would be figurative language. If it's just a fact and there's no simile or metaphor, that's literal. Okay, so I'm going to let you finish that, and I'm going to pause the video, and then we'll move on to part B. All right, part B is where we're going to look up a word's definition, and then we're going to use the word in a sentence to demonstrate we understand exactly what that word means. So before I get into the actual assignment, I want you to pull up in another tab Merriam-Webster's online dictionary. Okay, I've gave you the link in Google Classroom. You know, when I was your age and I had to look up words in the dictionary, I had to go to an actual book to find the word and what it means. And if you look at the back of my classroom right now, you will see a bookshelf, and on top of the bookshelf by the door, is a huge book that's opened, and I encourage you to take a look at it when you have time. That is a dictionary that I would use, but you are lucky you live in the digital age. You have a digital dictionary and so many right at your fingertips. Not only is it easier to use, it has so much more information. So this is what I think is the best online dictionary. It's Merriam-Webster. And when you go to the home page, you literally have this big box and you type in the word that you're looking for the definition of. Notice that it says dictionary and it says thesaurus. I do want to point out to you what the difference is. The dictionary gives you definitions. The thesaurus gives you other words that mean the same thing. Let me demonstrate for you. Let's say you're writing a story or a paper for school and you're using the word sad, and you're thinking, I probably shouldn't use the word sad because that's more like a 3rd grade level word and I'm almost in 7th grade. I want a better word for sad. So if you go to the thesaurus and you type in sad and you pull up your results, you're going to see sad is an adjective, which means it describes someone or something. And if you go down to the synonyms, words that mean the same thing, you'll see there's probably 30 different words here that mean sad. Miserable, joyless, melancholy, mournful, blue. You can see you can see. And then if you click on each one of these, it'll probably give you the definition of the word, which is pretty cool too. So I want you to use this thesaurus, not today, but when you are writing and you're looking for other words, more middle school, high school level kinds of words to improve your vocabulary. This is a wonderful, wonderful tool for writing. But we're going to go back to the dictionary because that's what the assignment's asking us to do today. And we're going to delete sad. I'm just going to go back to the main page. And we're going to go to the assignment, and it's asking us to define a word here. Now, the first one's done for you. You define the word, and the word for the example is placate, and that means to make someone less angry or hostile, to make someone feel better, to placate. And the example sentence is Katie tried to placate the crying baby with a pacifier. A pacifier would definitely make a crying baby less angry or make the baby happier, and that's exactly what placate means. So for each of these, you're defining the word, and then you're writing your own original sentence to show you understand what that word means. The next one is hallowed. So we're going to go to our dictionary. We need to define it. We're going to type in hallowed. And it's an adjective also. It describes something. And if you look down, the definition means holy or sacred. Okay? Holy or sacred. And they give you some little example sentences too. The church stands on hallowed ground, holy ground. Or the university's hallowed halls, sacred. That means they're very, very, very special. So I'm going to use the word the definition holy, because in the article, that's how the word is being used. So I'm going to go back to my answer. Whoops. So I'm going to define it as holy. And I'm going to write a sentence that shows that I understand what it means. I'm going to say, we walked into the old hallowed church, period. Okay, so a church is hallowed, it's holy. Okay, so if I can replace hallowed with the word holy, you can see where it makes sense. We walked into the old holy church, or hallowed church is the synonym for holy, just like that thesaurus helped us earlier. So that's what you do for the next three, number 4, 5, and 6. Do the same thing. I want you to define the word, and then use the word in your own original sentence to show that you understand what the word means. Pause the video and complete that now. All right, we're going to the last section, which is section C, where we're going to think about the connotation of some of the words in this article. Connotation just means the emotion or feeling connected with a word. For example, if I said the word peaceful, that has a very positive feeling associated with it. Most people enjoy that feeling of being peaceful. That's positive. If I said the word segregation, we learned about this word when we talked about Dr. Martin Luther King's speech. Segregation has a very negative feelings associated with it. Separating people based on their race or their skin color is a very negative, bad thing. So the word segregation has a negative connotation. If I said the word carpet, carpet really doesn't have a positive or a negative connotation. We would call that a neutral connotation. So what you need to do here is you need to go through the words that are underlined and you need to place them in the appropriate box. So I'm going to read through those, and then I want you to type the words when I'm done, or you can do it while I'm reading. I'm going to read them pretty quickly, though. I want you to put the word in the right box. So we have number 1 is ward off, frightening, honor, called, sharing, mischief, popular, and spend. Now, if you don't know what some of these words mean, what can you do to find out? I hope that you said, oh, I'll just use my awesome dictionary. So if you don't know what ward off means, to ward off something, you can look it up. It means to avoid something, okay? To avoid something, to keep something away from you. In the article, it was talking about how the people would ward off the evil spirits by dressing up in those scary costumes. So ward off, and you have to decide whether you think it's positive, negative, or neutral, and you put it in the appropriate box. Do that for all the underlined words, and then you are done with this assignment. But before I let you go, when you're done with this assignment and after you turn it in, I want you to go back to the Webster's Dictionary site and I want you to explore it. I want you to see all that it offers. There's so much. And there's even some really fun games and quizzes that you can play too. You can scroll down, you can find some. You can also click on where it says games and you can play some really fun games. And they're fun, but they also build your vocabulary. So it's really a double benefit. I enjoy AlphaBear, and you might want to try AlphaBear. I'm sorry, it's AlphaBear 2. You might want to try it. Try it also. It's a fun little spelling game and vocabulary game that you can play. But underneath that, there's also some very popular games. Name that thing, spell it, true or false. How strong is your vocabulary? So after you're done with the assignment today, I want you to explore the dictionary website that I gave you and play some of the games and see how it all works. You can even go to Word of the Day. You can go browse the thesaurus. There's just so much. So I want you to do that after you turn in today's assignment.